A grandma holding the photo of her deceased grandson, a 14-year-old boy who saw his two teachers having an affair and he was abused and tortured to death for it. Since then, tens of thousands have been protesting in the city of Shangqiu in Henan province over the death of the boy. The boy's death has been covered up by the school administrators, and local police have used their full force to suppress the protesters as well as the family from seeking answers and getting their own investigation. Meanwhile, last minute, many cities in China stopped the New Year countdown in fearing of celebration and a potential protest with the gathering of the crowd. And this as they arrested a lot of people for shooting fireworks on New Year's Eve. So let's talk about these two topics. Welcome to China Insider. I'm David Zhang. Happy New Year's to everybody, and hopefully this year is one where it's filled with wonderful experience and personal achievements for yourself, your family, and your loved ones. Now, today we're going to cover two topics. The first is an update on the situation of the 14-year-old's death in Henan province, and then we're going to talk about the situation with the New Year countdown, which happened last night. Now, these two may not seem that connected, but they're actually interconnected in a sense. Now, we're going to first talk about the boy. So after when I did my last video, which I believe was done on the 27th, YouTube deleted it. So for this one, I'm going to have to tone down on what I show, what I can't show. So YouTube is being a little bitch sometimes. And let's just say that. Anyways, the 14-year-old had died from torture from allegedly having stumbled upon his two teachers having an affair. And so one of the teachers, the male teacher, who is a biology teacher, started torturing him in the boys' shower. Now, this news, once it made public that he was tortured to death, essentially drew a lot of anger and frustrations online because of the situation. Now, the school authorities and the administrators, they've covered this up. In fact, they didn't let the family see the boy's body for 7 hours. And when this all happened, they were claiming that this is a suicide case. The boy had jumped from the building, which now proves to not be the case. And so from all this, we hear that, of course, there's been days of protest since then. But the actual incident took place on December 23rd, the night of December 23rd. And then it was revealed by internet information that the students weren't allowed to go back to their dorms. In fact, they were ordered to sleep in their classrooms on their desks. And while this was happening, some students recalled that hearing this wailing sound from the boy until, of course, it went silent. So the male teacher and the homeroom teacher, who is, I believe, a woman, they had an affair, and the boy, it seems so bizarre. It's like some sort of twisted drama plot that he would be killed over this. But to this day, the local government, the police force, as well as school, they've not been allowing the independent investigation by the family to carry on. They were denied access to the surveillance footage. They were also essentially not allowed to protest anymore because the local government has sent in more and more police by bus, and they set up major road blockades. And to this day, they're still doing check stops along the way, and then they're trying to minimize the number of people that are protesting. But this video here, I think, it's very heartbreaking. It is the grandma who carries the boy's portrait and just goes to every single one of those guards and tries to get them to look at the boy. And of course, none of them really looks at it, because this is the thing in China, right? The CCP always sides with the abusive group, which usually is the one that's actually guilty. That's just how the CCP is. They're always protecting those with power. Now, the boy he lives with his grandparents, and his parents, they work out of town because that's usually what happens with a lot of the rural, low-income families. They have to go out of town for work. And so he stays with his grandparents. He has a brother who was stationed at the Xinjiang border in the western part of China, protecting the country's border. And once he tried to come back, he was immediately recalled to go back to the border. Now, you might be wondering, why was the boy at the dorm if he had a family or a home to stay, right? Well, in China, it's usually pretty common for junior high and high schools to be a little bit far from where most people live, so they actually stay at the dorm for the week and usually go back home during the weekend. The boy, he suffered a lot of different wounds. He had screwdriver wounds. He had a broken ankle, which was bleeding, and then he also suffered from different parts of the bruises. And a lot of this is being questioned, which doesn't fit a descriptive aspect for the injury that you would get from a fall if the boy had committed suicide. That's just one other thing. The other thing is that while this event really took place on the night of December 23rd, the story being painted by the school administrators is that on the morning of December 24th, so Christmas Eve day, one of the patrol guards found the boy laying on the floor, and he immediately apparently called the emergency and police, and then they started investigating. But it only took them about 73 hours before they concluded that there was no criminal case involved here, which is really strange because the entire process had not been transparent with the family of the victim involved. Now, this school, particularly in as early as 2021, already had television programs reporting about the abuse cases happening at this school. And in a separate school, but in the same city, there were also other cases of abuse where teachers were told to, they forced other students to attack and to beat up one of the students that the teacher was also abusing. So this is something that quite commonly exists in China. And even though I think this case itself is one of the extreme sample of what took place, but teacher abuse and these sort of stuff do happen in China. Now, this incident has essentially sparked a what many people used to think was the inept part of China into a full-on rage mode over what happened. They had protested for days. They went into the school. They destroyed the principal's office, destroyed his properties in trying to seek answers. I think this really ignited a flame in people's heart because of what happened. Now, this isn't the first time that a young boy or a young person in China has been killed for something like this, but it is also one where I think it happened at a province that's had so many tragedies over the last few years. For example, in Henan province in 2021, there was the massive flooding in the city of Zhengzhou. And then the next year over, there was the whole deposit situation with local banks, and they were unwilling to give back the depositors their money, and so we saw the massive protest again. Now, unfortunately, I think for us, the reality is that the family likely won't get an answer from the authorities, the government, or even the school about the death of their grandson, simply because we've seen many cases over the years of how the CCP treats its citizens. And so this is no surprise, something that would eventually come to be brushed off and to essentially be forgotten among the many tragedies and miseries in China. But I think this does indicate one thing, which is that now there's clearly a reaction or a spark of flame in people's hearts about the situation in China. I think it's gotten to a point where people are willing to go and protest and to really find answers, despite eventually in the end, maybe they're not getting what they wanted. And that leads me to talk about our second topic, which is, I think is very interesting. It's a reflection of the state of China right now. And before we continue, just let you know our special Christmas sale with Blueberry Creative is still going on until January 3rd. Now, if you're looking for any birthday gifts or a special gift for someone that you love or cherish, this is a perfect time because some of the best quality products are going on sale for the lowest price of the year. For example, my favorite, the Taiwan High Mountain Tea, I really recommend you to try it if you're into Asian tea culture or if you want to get started on it. Or you have this amazing Estee Lauder night routine set, which the price here is amazing, as well as the Sou Hua Su skincare set as well, some of the lowest price of the entire year. And the quantity is very limited, so get your set today and check out some of the other products on sale as well. Now, if you use my code David, you can still get 15% off on all the other products in the entire store, as well as free shipping if you spend $70 or more. So last night, of course, it was December 31st, and people, while if you're in the United States or the Western world, you enjoyed the New Year countdown. But that wasn't the case in many cities across China. In the last minute or so, many of these squares or shopping centers, their large LED lights, shut down. Some of the screens turned into the Windows operating system, others simply shut down. And there was even a case of a drone light show that was supposed to take place with the New Year countdown that didn't end up happening. Why are you shutting down a New Year countdown? Well, the reason, as we've now learned, is that they were afraid of large crowds celebrating or gathering, which could potentially turn into a protest. If you remember last year in November, there was the white paper protests. And since then, the Chinese Communist Party has been very sensitive about large crowds gathering, especially if, let's just say the protesters use a disguise of sort of an event, right? This is technically celebrating the incoming New Year. But what if the hidden meaning behind celebrating it is actually to celebrate, the desire for freedom or so on? Now, of course, this is, to us, very bizarre, right? It's just a New Year countdown. It's fireworks. That is not allowed in China. Now, so in one case in Shanghai, they didn't have any large LED screens or lights or anything like that. People simply started counting down themselves and started chanting and, going through the New Year process. I find it very interesting because to go along with that is the fireworks. So China has outlawed fireworks during these holidays because for their reason, it's flammable, it's a fire hazard and so on. But everybody knows that's not how fireworks work, right? You don't just go around and light things on fire with fireworks. You light it up into the skies and then you celebrate the occasion. Of course, that is part of the stability thing that the CCP loves to do. And so they banned fireworks. But now, every once in a while, during Christmas, New Year's, Chinese New Year's, etc., you have these brave soldiers, some of them on mopeds, motorcycles, others in cars. They start blasting fireworks all around the streets. Some of them, like this one, they get piled on by the cops. Others ride down the motorcycles and they try to sort of copy each other from different areas. It's like a vigilante sort of action that we're seeing. And some of them apparently are so scared that they send out fire trucks using water cannons to try to push these, they're not even protests, they're just people celebrating away. But you see the irony here, right? It's like a piece of white paper is able to express the feeling in China. Right, the symbol itself isn't, it can be whatever it is. It could be, a book, it could be a song, it could be a movie, it could be fireworks, or it could be LED screens, or it could be a chant like Happy New Year's. It's the meaning behind it that people now realize is so powerful and the regime is so afraid of. Fireworks really, to us, represent celebration, happiness, achievements. It's also an idea itself, right? Like white paper. Even though nothing is written on a piece of blank paper, but we know implicitly what that piece of paper means. So the idea of the white paper protest last year was the exact same, right? You don't have to say what you want to say, but everybody who understands it knows exactly what you're talking about. I think that's so powerful here. All right, that's it today for the episode on China's version of celebrating New Year's, which ends up in tragedy and a lot of disappointment. If you enjoy the content, leave a like, comment below your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel. Again, wishing you a happy and wonderful 2024 for the, let's hope for an eventful but a wonderful year. So thank you so much for watching China Insider. We'll see you next time.